Hi guys, so today we are going to be doing a team report on my Stuttgart regional team that I ran a few weeks ago. I had a request from a few people and one in particular from the Twitch streams about someone asking if I was going to do a team report and make this team available for you guys to test out online and go away and try. So I thought, why not? It's been absolutely ages since I've done something like this, and it'd be quite nice to do this. So we'll go through it today, and I'll just talk you through my thought processes going into that event. I ended up getting top 32. I was a little bit disappointed. I finished 5-2 in that event. I kind of wanted to go top cut. I was like one win away from doing that, but very small margins at regionals. But my good friend Ben Kiriakou as well, the night before the event, I was staying with Ben and he was having a bit of a panic about what he wanted to use. He had two teams and he couldn't decide what he wanted to use, and I said to him, I was like, well, why don't you just use this team? Ben had helped me really polish the team up after I put it together with EV spreads and make some decisions about a few aspects of the team. So he knew the ins and outs of it as much as I did. He obviously wasn't as versed in practicing with it as I was, but Ben did take that on, went to the event and managed to finish in the top 4 of the regionals, so doing really well and showing how the team has got the potential to do really well. He played it on stream as well, so you can catch the replay of that over on the Twitch channel that it was taken with the Limitless team. So basically getting into the team, I will just go through the overall Pokemon that we've got here. We've got the Gardevoir, which is the star of the show. We've got Incineroar, Landorus, Naganadel, which is the odd pick, I guess, the Tapu Fini and the Breloom there. So as I say, going into this event, I've been playing around with Gardevoir quite a lot, and I really liked it. And you know, speaking to a few people, and their suggestion was, because I desperately needed championship points from this event, and they were like, rather than like go down a route of like making a meta call or anything like that, which is it's really difficult at this point of the season as well. I think you know, you can try and go down that route and you get it right and it pays off, and then it's risky because if you make a call and then it's not the right call and then it goes completely wrong. So the advice was to play something I'm more comfortable with and that I've got a bit more experience with, and then try and just build on that. So big props to my good friend Jamie Boy and Ben Kiriakou for giving me that advice and making sure that I was on the right road for going, and you know, in the end I came away from Stuttgart with 100 championship points, which was, you know, it's successful. I wasn't like completely happy in it with myself because I always want to do better than that, but at the end of the day I'm still on track for getting my Worlds invite, so everything's all fine at the moment anyway. But I hope you guys enjoy this team report. It's going to be probably a little bit different from the ones I've done in the past, but hopefully a bit more streamlined as well. I don't want to keep it too long. But I'm just going to go over some of the decision making and why I chose a few of the obscure Pokemon that I've got in the team. So we'll start off with the Gardevoir. We can see that I've got Protect, Trick Room, Psyshock and Hyper Voice. It's kind of a standard Gardevoir set. You want the Trick Room there to support some sort of speed control on the team. Psyshock there, I feel at the moment Psyshock is a lot better just because you've got a lot of Calm Mind abusers in the meta game at the minute, especially for Tapu Fini and things like that. It gives you a nice option against that sort of variant. If you come up against it, you're still going to be doing really good damage to it and not worrying about the special defensive boost, because it's hitting on the defensive side of the spectrum, even though there's a special attack. And then Hyper Voice, we all know about Hyper Voice, which is just ridiculous. Like, it's so powerful with the Pixelate ability that Mega Gardevoir obtains when it does Mega Evolve, and Trace as well as the ability for Gardevoir before it does Mega Evolve. And one of the things that I really love about Gardevoir is that Trace, because you see a lot of teams at the moment leading off with their Intimidate users, and if you can lead off like Incineroar or Landorus with Gardevoir, you've got a really good chance of you know, tracing the Intimidate as well, and getting a double Intimidate onto something like a physical attacker, which really then helps support Gardevoir even more. So this is the spread that we've got on Gardevoir. Went from Modest Nature to boost the special attack there, because its special attack is just ridiculous. So it makes a lot of sense because it is the biggest base stat that we've got here in 125. Let's actually change this to Mega Gardy because we can get a better picture of that, I think, there. So I'm just going to change this, so that will make a lot more sense if we do it like this. Want it trick or treat? We don't want that, do we? It'd be nice if it got that. Psyshock and Hyper Voice. There we go. And we got 236 in there. 156, I think. 452 and 60. There we go. Can't believe I remembered that. But I've been playing around with this spread for a long time. So that's the spread that we've got, yeah. So just to quickly go over it for you guys, we've got 236 in HP, 156 in defense, 4 in special attack, 52 special defense, and 100 in speed. So it's a little bit faster than your standard Gardevoir, Mega Gardevoir. You can see one of the reasons I did this was kind of like most run-of-the-mill Gardevoirs are running just 20 EVs, Modest Nature, and that's to creep things like Bishop, just so you get the jump on it before it can get an iron head off potentially, so you can double into it pretty easily. One of the things I wanted to make sure I was doing was outspeeding the majority of opposing Mega Gardevoirs I faced, and there's a few other things that I wanted to make sure that I was outspeeding as well, like Pelipper and Rain's are quite a nice thing to, because Gardevoir can take the Hydro Vortex and Rain, and then you can kind of, if you position yourself well with a partnering Pokemon, you can always make sure that you can double up into that Pelipper slot potentially and stop a Tailwind and things like that. You're outspeeding most standard Tapu Bulus as well, unless they're like max speed, or obviously Choice Scarf, that's another issue there, but for the most part, the additional speed with the Gardevoir was really handy, and like the one-on-ones with opposing Gardevoirs made that like the mirror matchup a lot easier. So that was one of the reasons I went for that, a little bit additional speed. It didn't hurt too much at all, because most things, like what you do is judge opposing speed tiers when you're in your game one, because this is a best of 3 team, so playing in a best of 3 tournament, and you can judge the speed of things and make sure that you kind of taking note of it through battle, so that the game 2 and game 3, if it does go to that, you can really gauge whether the Trick Room is going to be your more optimal option or not. Here obviously the moveset kind of speaks for itself. We can go on to do a few damage calculations just to explain a few things, so I'll jump over to the damage calculator here. I've already got the Gardevoir all plugged in, so here's one of the calcs that I wanted to do. I thought Mega Gengar is going to be a big threat and quite popular at the tournament, and I wanted to make sure that it was all surviving at least a Sludge Bomb, and with this spread you always do that, and obviously in return with the Psyshock you're going to be able to pick up the KO on the Gengar. Even invested Gengar, heavily invested Gengar, you're going to be getting with the Psyshock. So if you're ever in that one-on-one and you wanted to just trade off Gardevoir for Gengar, you can always put yourself in a position where you could do that, and getting rid of the Gengar in those matches is huge, because you know, as soon as you get rid of that trap lock, then the game becomes a lot easier. You can switch around and you can maneuver your board position in a way where you can manipulate the game to kind of get that win condition. So getting rid of the Gengar and making sure that you can take that Sludge Bomb is a big thing really for Gardevoir. Now I know most Gardevoir will probably be able to do that, but it was definitely one thing that I wanted to be able to make sure I was doing. Other really big threats that I did feel like I wanted to take was Nihilego. It's not so popular, but you never know when you might come against it, so I was like, well, there's always that thing, like I can do that, and then the other calcs will kind of fall into place from there. So a Life Orb Timid Sludge Bomb from Nihilego, 6.3% chance to Chaos, so we're always going to be getting that. And again, that trade-off again with the Psyshock, because Nihilego's not the best defensively, you're always going to be netting that KO there. Another one was going to be Naganadel. I didn't know how popular that would be, probably not so much, but again, I wanted to make sure that if I did see any stray Rogue, Life Orb, Naganadel, again the same calc works there. It's going to be a 6.3% chance to take down our Gardevoir on this spread, so we take that, and again we net the KO with the Psyshock. And the big thing about taking these attacks in these situations is these attackers are all fast. So the Mega Gengar is super fast, Naganadel's fast, and Nihiliga is super fast. And just taking that attack might be the one time that gives you that option to get the Trick Room up. And that Trick Room can really flip the game at that point. You get the Trick Room up and then you can just sweep out. So that's the really important thing about it. So it's not as much taking the attack to attack back. It's taking the attack to kind of get the board situation set up with your speed control to make sure that you can win out from that point in the game. The defensive investment. So let's just have a look at... There was another, and it falls kind of into this similar situation where I wanted to be able to have as best a chance possible of taking an attack from like a Metagross. Like Metagross teams are quite fast defensive, so if I can take a -1, I've got double Intimidate in the team, so there's a good chance I'm going to be able to get an Intimidate off into a Metagross. And with my Gardevoir, most of the time, if I can do that, I can get a chance where I can get that Trick Room off, and then from there the game gets a lot easier to deal with like the big faster threats, because I've got Incineroar, I've got Tapu Fini that can come in and start doing and disrupting damage and stuff like that for teams and things like that. So you can see -1 Iron Head from a max Jolly Mega Metagross is a 12.5% chance, and it was originally a guaranteed survival, but with the speed investment that I thought was more necessary than the defensive investment, I had to tweak a few things. So we kind of went down a little bit on some of the defensive calcs, but 12.5% chance, everything's in your favor really, isn't it? So you're going to be like seriously unlucky if the KO does kind of net you from that range. Salamence was another thing that I wanted to make sure that I was always taking a double edge from a naive Salamence, and I don't ever think you're going to see a max attack Salamence, but you can see this is a naive one. The double edge here, we're always going to be taking that, and a Hyper Voice is always going to be pretty much too close to a KO. And I mean, we can go as high as what we're going to put in. Yeah, let's go 1. Yeah, so 200, 196. 196, naive, Mega Salamence, double edge. We're going to be taking it, and again we've got the double Intimidate, so we can make sure that we're taking that as well. So defensively, Gardevoir is very good on its own without Intimidate. With the Intimidate, it just makes it even stronger, really. Another thing about the special attack investment is, if we go and have a look at what is another very common Pokemon, is Special Landorus at the moment, and that was something that I did think was going to be quite popular at the event. And we can throw the Sludge Bomb in here, and we can just pop 252 in there, and we can see that the Sludge Bomb is really going to be a 3-hit KO on this Gardevoir, and Hyper Voice is always going to be a 2-hit KO unless it's Assault Vest. But if it's Assault Vest, then we've got other things on the team that we can tech against it as well. So that's a pretty nice calc for the Gardevoir just with that spread. So we kind of cover everything else there. The special attack, I didn't really feel like we needed so much investment. We've got the positive nature with the Modest there. I didn't feel like we needed anything else. We get all the KOs that we want to with the Psy Shock that we need to get, like the Gengar, the Nihiliga, the Naganadel, stuff like that. Amoonguss is a bit of a stray one because you don't really like variants of Amoonguss. They can be specially defensive invested, they can be defensively invested. It really depends. Same goes for Venusaur, and you know that the thing is with most of those Pokemon, they're the calcs that people are making sure that they always survive. So trying to put further investment into to net those KOs on those particular Pokemon seems a bit too much really, because you're going to be having to invest nearly max into special attack and you lose a lot of defensive investment. And the big thing about playing a Gardevoir team is setting yourself up with Gardevoir and using every other piece of your team, the other 3 pieces, to protect it and get it into a position where it's just running through the team, and making it extremely difficult for your opponent to attack the Gardevoir and do any damage to it really. So there's some basic calcs there just for the Gardevoir to give you a brief overview. But like I say, I don't really feel like we needed to go any more in special attack. You don't really gain much, and for the investment elsewhere and the speed elsewhere, you get a lot more. I feel for your investment in those areas. So that is Mega Gardevoir for you all. Now we'll move on to our first Intimidate support user. Since we've had it on the scene for a little while now, it has totally changed the format, in my opinion anyway, and that's Incineroar. Obviously getting access to Intimidate has just made it it was already good before now. We've seen some really good Gardevoir teams. You know, the Razor has had his really popular Mega Gardevoir team, and he played Blaze Incineroar in that, and it just shows that Incineroar was good before it, and with the Intimidate it's just even better, and we know that from the usage stats that we've got here. So we opted for Fake Out, Flare Blitz, Knock Off and U-Turn, and U-Turn was something I felt was like it was necessary for this team. I really love U-Turn on Incineroar, especially when you're pairing it with Landorus, because you've got like Scarfed Landorus with U-Turn, so you've got that fast U-Turn pivot out if you need to adjust your board position. But the beauty with Incineroar is if you're in a position where you know you can take an attack from something, and you want to adjust your board position, you want to get something in safely, you know Incineroar is going to be moving last most of the time in that situation. You can U-turn last and get whatever in for free, unscathed, and you haven't lost the Pokemon in doing that, and that's such a really nice utility about that U-turn on Incineroar. Obviously Fake Out's very good for supporting the Gardevoir. Make sure you can get your Trick Room up if you need to, or just fire off a free Hyper Voice in a situation and just put a lot of pressure on the opposing Pokemon. Flare Blitz and Knock Off is standard. Knock Off is super handy for getting rid of berries, tricky items like Assault Vest and things like that, and then Flare Blitz is just there for just good damage in steel types primarily. The EV spread was very different before, and this final one, the key goals for it were always the same, but we sacrificed a few things to make sure that, like, the speed was one thing again that I wanted on the Incineroar. Like, the one thing with this team is and this is something I talked in like a very long period of time with Ben about, because he wasn't really sure that I needed as much speed on the Incineroar as I did, and I kind of agreed with him to a certain extent, but then we changed it and we lowered the speed of Incineroar to get a bit more attack, a bit more defensive investment and things like that, and it just wasn't the same. The team just didn't operate the same. I didn't like the fact that every time I led potentially Gardevoir Incineroar, I always wanted to have the faster Fake Out on the Incineroar, not because I wanted to fake out the opposing Incineroar, because it gave me almost the pressure I needed to either change my board position to kind of, because I know their hands force at that point, because opposing Incineroars probably don't carry Protect, okay? So they've seen that my Incineroar is faster. They know that they can't utilize their Fake Out that turn unless we want to trade Fake Outs. In certain situations, that's what will happen. But for the most part, they don't want to take a Fake Out into the Incineroar and just let Gardevoir fire off a free Hyper Voice, because that puts them in a really detrimental position. So in that situation, it gives me such an advantage knowing that the ball's in my court and I can operate from my side of the field. It just makes me feel a lot more comfortable in that situation. So that's why I've got so much speed in Incineroar, and you don't normally see that much speed investment in Incineroar. Well, it's not as standard anyway. You do see it, but it's not as standard, and I just liked knowing that my Incineroar was going to be the faster one every time. So that's why I've kind of forgone a little bit of attack. The overall is just dumping into HP just to kind of maximize the defenses. The one calc that we obviously had the big goal of, and I wanted to have a goal of making sure I always survived, was a Tapu Fini Gigavolt Havoc in terrain, and that's a big one. Other than that, it's kind of just, I think, Stomp and Tantrum. We'll get into that in a minute, but just an adamant nature. But the big thing here was the speed and the Intimidate and Fake Out support that Incineroar provides with that U-turn pivoting ability, because it's going to be slower than the majority of stuff that's on the field unless it's like heavy Trick Room stuff. But other than that, you're going to be guaranteeing that slow U-turn and just to pivot in and get something in very safe. So, and giving that Gardevoir extra protection alongside the Landorus. So we can just hop over to the damage calculator here, and there you go. You can see straight away we've already got it. Input is the Gigavolt Havoc from the Tapu Koko, from a timid max timid Tapu Koko. It is going to be a 6.3% chance, and we've just squeezed that right down. I mean, you could push it up a bit further to guarantee it, but I mean, that kind of guarantees it really most of the time anyway. Procking your berry and then you're good to go from there. I wasn't too really worried about the attack investment in Incineroar. Now I could have went for the 36 just to get the stat point, because if you see here, this is just for you guys that don't know. I would always say 36 is probably the best. So we're on 152 there. We get we go up to 36. It goes to 15. So you get that extra EV point there for that, and that's where I would go to, and that's probably as max as I would go to there. But the thing with Gardevoir is you're kind of just getting things into range to KO and just Hyper Voice and just pick up KOs with. So the chip damage, and I wasn't really too concerned. Like, most of the time you're going to be two-hit KOing stuff with Incineroar anyway. So the additional investment in attack, again, didn't seem necessary where I wanted it more in defense. So I think that the tiny bit of defensive EVs that we've got is to just make sure that a -1 Jolly Max Metagross Stomping Tantrum is like a 3-hit KO really with the berry. So it's got a very minute chance to 2-hit KO, and you're probably looking at Metagross now with a lot less attack investment as well. So I mean, any less than 252, it's going to be a 4-hit KO, which is absolutely huge, meaning that Incineroar is pretty comfortable in front of a -1 Metagross. And you can see the damage that a Flare Blitz does. Even -1, we're going to be getting it on the 2-hit KO, so that's pretty good. So 1-on-1, it's not doing a bad job at all. And Landorus, we can have a look at Landorus-Therian -1 Earthquake. We're taking quite comfortably as well. Obviously it would be getting a 2-hit KO, but if we can get it down to a -2, it turns it into a 4-hit KO with our berry. So that's a nice plus about it as well. Do we get the Tapu Fini calc? I don't know if we do on a Specs Tapu Fini. Muddy Water, yeah, we take that, and that's a more common one. But I'm not really too sure about a Scald. Obviously not get a Hydro Pump or a Waterium, but yeah, we get the Scald from a Specs Fini as well, which is a nice calc to always think about. What else with Incineroar was there that I needed to think about? I don't think there was too much else there. There's other options on Incineroar as well, like Low Kick would have been a nice option. And originally, before I kind of completed the whole team, it was something I did feel like I wanted to have in the team quite a lot, to just have that fighting coverage. But with the set, felt like it was too good and too complete to kind of change around. So that kind of covers the Incineroar there. And like I say, it's just providing the Intimidate support, the initial Intimidate support, and that Fake Out support as well. And it's also got that pivoting potential with the U-turn for the Gardevoir. So centering around the Gardevoir still. And obviously with the Incineroar as well, the typing is absolutely beautiful, because it's got the fire for the steel types and the dark for the ghost types that really threaten the Gardevoir. So it really complements Gardevoir perfectly, and just totally missed that, but I have got it in now, so it's alright. Right, moving on to our next Pokemon, another familiar friend of ours, Landorus-Therian form, and yeah, a secondary Intimidate user for the team, giving us some ground immunity as well, which is super important and really nice. This Landorus is a bit unique as well. We went for Choice Scarf because you know, things like Gengar, although we can take a Sludge Bomb from it and things like that, and Incineroar is good offensively against it. The thing is, like, taking a Sludge Bomb is like a last resort. You don't really want to be doing it, even though you know you can take one. It kind of puts Gardevoir in a position where it's got to be so careful for the rest of the game. So having ways around, like things like Mega Gengar and Tapu Koko as well, and Manectric in particular, things that are popular at the moment in the European circuit, is super nice. And Landorus, especially for the late game, you know, most of the time you lead it, you pivot, you bring it in late game, and then you use it as kind of a late game sweeper just to clean up. So I opted, obviously, I tested the special variant, and I don't like Sludge Bomb on. I didn't really like Sludge Bomb on it. I just felt it was so underwhelming all of the time when I used it. Hidden Part I was very similar with. I just felt like you get into situations where you've got nothing to hit a Zapdos with, and then you lock yourself into Hidden Part Ice against a Zapdos, and it was just like, well, Zapdos is going to beat me with Heat Wave one-on-one opposed to Hidden Part Ice, and I just felt it just really didn't do the job. Like, Hidden Part Ice, I think, is probably something to really consider over maybe Earthquake, because it gives you a better option against opposing Choice Scarf Landorus-Therians, which can be a bit of a problem for this team. But I think it comes down to a more personal choice. So I've opted with a mixed spread here. So we've got the Rock Slide, the Earthquake, the U-Turn, and Earth Power. So we've got both spectrums of the best parts, I think, of a special Landorus and a physical Landorus, both taking advantage of that stab ground typing. So we've got the Earthquake if we need it, and then we've got the Earth Power if we need that as well. So we've got the variants. If there's Intimidate on the field, we've got Earth Power. If there's no Intimidate, we can go Earthquake. It all depends on the situation, but it's nice having that flexibility and nice having both those options. And also the thing that you lose, I feel, from a lot of the time from going special Landorus is the Rock Slide. The fast Rock Slide is so good. That fast spread that you're not affecting your partner in Pokemon. You got the flinch chance as well, which, you know, I'm not going to advocate that you rely on, but in some situations it's very good. And just that spread damage is just very strong. So fast spread damage just to chip things off that are very close to KO and cleaning up, like I say. And obviously the U-turns there, like, it's kind of like how we'd opposite use Incineroar if we want to get our board position changed and get something in to take an attack that we feel like there's an ice attack coming out. So let's get Tapu Fini in that slot, let's U-turn out and get Tapu Fini in to get the terrain up, etc. Or if Como O's out on the field and we're trapped and we want to get Fini in to reduce the Como O damage from a Z move, etc. It's quite a nice option there, just making sure that we get the jump on it from that standpoint. So we've got yes, basically the moveset's quite standard stuff that you're seeing, but the big thing here is the EV spread in the nature. So the one thing that kind of complicates going kind of mixed is where you want to put the nature. Like, you really want to be going either down a road where you're boosting attack or you're boosting special attack to get the best out of both worlds. But I felt this is really where Ben came in here, and he came up with this spread. I have adapted it slightly because I felt we needed a bit more HP, a bit more special defense to take a few attacks. And so Ben's original one had a lot more attack investment in it to make sure that Earthquake and Rock Slide were doing a lot more damage. I didn't think you needed that much investment, so I took pretty much all of it out and put a lot more into defensive investment, and I'll get to that in a moment. So we've went for a Lonely Nature. We've got an attack plus in nature to take advantage of that base 145 attack, so making sure that the Rock Slide and the Earthquake are doing good damage along with that U-turn as well. And then we've got 124 investment in special defense, and I'll get to that in the damage calculations in a minute. And just to make sure that we are a bit speedy as well, we've went to 212 speed. I did drop that down. I think Ben's original spread was 140 to make sure that you get the jump on stuff like Scarf Smeagol, but I didn't really feel like that was necessary with this team and this spread as well, where the defensive investment was a little bit more beneficial. So let's jump over, because I think most of the calcs are going to be where we explain a lot more about this set. So here we go. I've got Tapu Koko up straight away. You can see the Earthquake gets it on both sides of the spectrum. Like I said, if we're not Intimidate and we've not got Intimidate to contend with, and we're in a position where we can Earthquake and take the Tapu Koko down with that investment. If we are intimidated, we've still got an option to net the KO on the Tapu Koko with Earth Power. So you've got both sides. So your opponent might think, you know, if you've earlier in the game revealed Earthquake on the Landorus, and then say game 2 they purposefully intimidate your Landorus and think, well, my Tapu Koko's safe here, I can get a Volt Switch off. Bam! Earth Power. Bye-bye, Tapu Koko. So that's kind of the nice side of it. It also gets around Mega Gengar Tapu Bulu as well. So if you reveal Earthquake, or they know you've got Earthquake again in a game 1 or an early game 2 situation, and you manage to get the Landorus back out, again, they might switch. They might have Gengar out and then switch in Tapu Bulu thinking Gengar's safe here. No, Earth Power. Got that option as well, so you've got both options to get around both kind of ways of your opponent kind of trying to stop the Landorus, getting those earth ground type attacks off. Where was I going to go from here? So we have the Tapu Koko. It seems a bit strange to have so much special attack investment, but there was 2 things that I wanted to make sure that I got the KO on. And I think Ben's didn't have as much investment, and this is where I went a bit more with the investment. Now, Manectric was something that I kind of wanted to go, but I didn't have enough EVs to kind of go full on. And I think if I did change this spread, I'd probably go max special attack. And I'll get into that in a minute. But as you can see, it's like 99 min, so we've got like a 93% chance to get your regular Mega Manectric. Whereas, you know, they're always going to sit in front of you and think, yeah, well, I can take the Earthquake easy because I'm going to get the Intimidate when I Mega Evolve. And then you can pull out, again, similar situation, pull out the Earth Power if you want to in that situation, and just remove it from the field. And that's a Mega down, and that's pretty big for going forward in a match. Now the other one was obviously Mega Gengar. Now that's a big one. So Mega Gengar, Earthquake unintimidated, easy one-hit KO on the double target. Easy. Earth Power, got a 56.3% chance. And you know what? Every time I used it in the tournament, I fell on the wrong side of that 56% chance. I missed the KO against Jonas Viegel in my round 2 game. In game 3, I think he thought the game was over. I thought the game was over. Gengar survived on like a tiny bit of health, and that kind of lost me the game from there. If I'd taken the Gengar down at that point, it would have been over. And I'm just going to show you here, if I had just been max, we would have got it 100%, and I would have been sitting at 2-0 at that point rather than 1-1, and you never know where that would have went from there. But unfortunately that wasn't the case, and I think we're just too shy with the Earth Power at that point of getting the KO on the Gengar. I think that's not enough, and as I say, every time, and it happened about 4 times throughout the tournament on Saturday and Sunday where I missed the KO. Really important KO to get as well, because it's such a threat to the entire team. You know, we've got a lot of poison weak Pokemon on the team, and getting rid of that is really important. And one of the reasons why I haven't got max special attack investment here is because I wanted some security against Charizard Y. Now Charizard Y is a tricky matchup for this team. Like, we've got the Gardevoir that takes the fire type attacks pretty well, but the Charizard Y and the Landorus pairing is a little bit difficult for the team, and I wanted a little bit of security against Flamethrower, Heat Wave. So this was the investment, and this is the calc and what I did. So I wanted to make sure that I could at least take a Flamethrower in the sun from a Charizard Y, because you can't always rely on Rock Slide. We haven't got max investment, you know. I'm probably going to be looking at, I'm going to be -1 with Rock Slide, so I'm going to have to take two Rock Slides to take down a Charizard Y most of the time. So I'm going to at least need to take 1 attack from it, and I thought just that security would be good. Unfortunately, I didn't play any Charizard Y in the tournament. No surprise, but and I think I could have got away with not going down that route with this special investment. It may have come in handy in a few games, but I think overall, I think just going max special attack would have been a lot better. And then probably looking at going maybe even hidden part ice over the earthquake, but that earthquake did come in handy in a couple of games as well, so I can't really say that would be a certain decision to make. Other than that, that is the Landorus. The speed's there to outspeed stuff like Kingdra if we can stall out the rain, if I get my Choice Scarf knocked off. But other than that, it's just to make sure that I'm kind of, what is that, getting the jump on. I think like Mega Metagross pretty much. Yeah, that's what we get with that, so that's fine. Yeah, so always getting the jump on Mega Metagross. Alright, so we've got the basic core of the team down already. We're doing not bad, 30 minutes. We've got a little bit of time, so I'm going to speed this up. But here is the star of the show. So the biggest problem I had with the Mega Gardevoir team, even with Incineroar and even with Landorus, they both threaten and both hit Mega Metagross for super effective damage. Mega Metagross is probably the biggest threat to Gardevoir, and I just didn't have, you can't guarantee Landorus as a it's not a check to Mega Metagross, because Mega Metagross leading out, you can lead Landorus, but you're not going to get the Intimidate onto it, and you can't guarantee that you can KO it either with an Earth Power or with an Earthquake, because it's just so bulky. And you need the Groundium, and if you've got the Groundium, you're slower than it, and you will just get KO'd by Ice Punch. So it's really difficult. So the one thing I needed, I felt like Gardevoir really needs something that can manage Metagross really well. And I've been playing around with Naganadel a lot, and I do really love it. And this set originally started off with Protect, Tailwind, Flamethrower, Sludge Bomb, with the Firium. The spread again is really, I have to give credit to Ben for this, because Ben gave me this spread, and I did tweak it slightly. I reduced the HP and put a little bit elsewhere, but other than that, the big things about this spread give you that special attack boost rather than the speed boost, which is the key thing with this Naganadel. So if Naganadel gets a knockout, the beast boost activates, and because the special attack and speed are exactly the same, it will always go in order, and because the special attacks before the speed in the order brackets, you'll always get the special attack boost before the speed. So this is absolutely beautiful. And it really makes Naganadel a real threat. So the Firium, obviously we're just outspeeding base 110s as well with that speed stat, so Mega Metagross in particular. I didn't really miss the additional speed anywhere above that. I've got plenty of stuff to deal with, things like Mega Salamence, with Gardevoir and Tapu Fini, double Intimidate as well, that can really help against that. So I didn't feel like we needed any additional speed. We weren't outspeeding things like Tapu Koko anyway, but with its dragon typing and its poison typing, it can take most attacks from stuff like Tapu Koko anyway pretty comfortably. So yeah, that was the big thing with this spread. Now the Sludge Bomb is obviously really good against Rain, Ludicolo, gives us a nice option against stuff like that. It gives us a brilliant option against all of the Tapus. Like, all of the Tapus are just like threatened, especially because one of the things with running Scarfed Landorus as well in this team was it gave me a way to detect, and we're not running it faster than Scarfed Lele's, so it's a really nice detector. If I was going up against Metagross Lele, I'd always lead Gardevoir and Landorus. Naganadel Landorus. That would always be the lead. And I could always detect whether or not the Lele was scarfed or not. And if the Lele was scarfed, I could always adjust my board position, because if it activated its Psychic Terrain before my Intimidate went off with Landorus, then I can always adjust from that point. So that was quite a nice indicator, and one of the main reasons why I went the Scarf over having some offensive options against some of the faster things in the metagame that do threaten this team. But that was another thing that was a nice little tech to have inside, hidden there. So yeah, the Firium pretty much was there for Metagross. It's a Metagross check, because Metagross just can't take that. Now I did originally say we had Tailwind on the Naganadel over the substitute, but I just found I was never using it, and I never really utilized it as much, and I much prefer the team to rely on the Trick Room mode if I needed it. Otherwise I didn't need the Trick Room mode, because this team's quite middling speed, so if it didn't need the Trick Room, we could manage without it. It was bulky enough, it could pivot around, it had really good synergy, so it didn't need it so much. So I felt like it was kind of like a wasted move slot, so I was looking for other options. There's obviously Snarl there, can be good and support the things, but I felt Substitute was probably the best option there, because I was getting into a lot of positions where you kind of like Metagross would either protect turn 1 or and especially in that game 2. So game 1, you go into it and you catch the Metagross off guard, you take it down, you absolutely nuke it, take it out with the Firuim, and then game 2 they lead Metagross again, and you know for a fact they're going to protect it or switch it out. So that's when you sub and you get your advantage there, and then hopefully they bring in it or have a Tapu out on the field or something you can get with the Sludge Bomb or Flamethrower, and then you can kind of go from there and then start just piling on the momentum from your side of the field. So that was that really. It's pretty in a nutshell. There's not really much to the Naganadel other than you get the special attack boost when you KO something rather than the speed boost. The substitutes there when you know that your opponent is under a lot of pressure and you feel like you can get it up, and it gives that Naganadel a little bit extra, you know, assurance for being able to get those Sludge Bombs, Flamethrowers off. So coverage between the Sludge Bomb and the Flamethrower is just phenomenal. You know, you get the Steel types, and everything that's not a Steel type you can hit with Sludge Bomb, and vice versa. But the Firuim is pretty strong, so let's jump over to the damage calculator, and as you can see, Flamethrower, Z Flamethrower onto a Metagross is pretty huge. Let's see, if we go -1 as well, we're taking everything from Metagross. I think, yeah, we don't really take anything. We take an Iron Head from a Metagross unintimidated, but apart from that, but I mean, you can go to Tapu Koko. Let's see, Sludge Bomb is a 1-hit KO, and we're not anywhere near getting KO'd by anything Coco's going to throw out at us, and that's a Life Orb one, so even Gigavolt and stuff like that is easy. Obviously Tapu Lele, as long as it's not Scarfed, we've got a good chance of getting it with the Sludge Bomb. 62% chance isn't bad, and if we can chip it down with like anything, like even a Mach Punch, well, not a Mach Punch from a Breloom, but like anything, then you know we're in a good state. Like Landorus, I will say, like Landorus Rock Slide, and you're going to get that with the Sludge Bomb. Tapu Bulu we don't even need to do, because that's just easy, and Tapu Fini, it's got Calm Mind Fini, so yeah, and if we get the boost, then yeah, you're looking at nearly a 1-hit KO, and like that's a bulky Fini as well, so it's not doing really anything in return either, so it's really good against the Tapus. Also the additional Fire type on the team is nice, the fire coverage, because you kind of really are struggling against Steel types, and that additional Fire type move is really nice, because we've not got any Electric type on the team as well, so that helps against stuff like Celesteela as well, and just having that nuke for Celesteela is quite nice. You're not going to KO Celesteela by any means, but the damage that you do onto it really puts it and like sets it up for something else to take down. That's a +1 obviously. So if you can get the +1 before you nuke the Celesteela, then you obviously get the KO, but not without it. But yeah, you're getting it there, and I mean against stuff like Ferrothorn, you're going to be getting a KO. Almost Ferrothorn, Scissor as well, and another good Pokemon that could be a bit problematic for the team, especially stuff like Gardevoir, Fini, Incineroar even, Landorus, depending on what situation you're in. Cortana could be tricky for the team to deal with. Naganadel takes that equation straight out of the equation. It just deals with it so well with the Flamethrower, so it's a nice option, and I do really like Naganadel. It's a very good Pokemon, very underused, and I would suggest people use it a bit more, and I hope they do. But the Firuim is a nice option on it, and it's something that can really help against Metagross, and I found it was very good. I didn't play as many Metagross teams as I'd like to, on the tournament. I did play a couple, but none in, I don't think I played any in the actual regional itself, and I played, I think, 2 in the MSS on the Sunday. So I did get to utilise the Firium, and that moment when I first used it, I was like, am I gonna get it? Click it, boom, yeah, and I got it, so it was good. But that is Naganadel in a nutshell. Really good typing, poison and dragon as well, and just generally a very good Pokemon, very strong, and if you can get a boost or 2 up, it's just really hard to stop it. So moving on, we have got Tapu Fini, and Tapu Fini fits into this kind of team core like a glove, honestly. The water typing, we need a water typing on this team really, because you've got Incineroar and you've got Landorus, and both are very weak to water, and you need a good switch in for water type attacks, especially stuff like Araquanid. You need something to switch in and take those liquidations to kind of alleviate the pressure a little bit, and Tapu Fini provides that. The other thing I wanted with this team was a Tapu, either Tapu Koko or Tapu Fini, because the one thing that scared me about not having Tailwind on the team but having Trick Room was stuff like Amoonguss, and not having a way to kind of get around Amoonguss's spores, because that could become very problematic for the team. So I definitely wanted to have a terrain that kind of gave me a bit of alleviation against status effects, and Tapu Fini kind of delivered everything I needed. Calm Mind Tapu Fini as well fits into this team really nice. It gives me a nice option against hard Trick Room teams, Mega Camera Up and things like that, and you know, with how the team performs around, like we're basing the team around Mega Gardevoir with that double Intimidate core, you can kind of take the Gardevoir out at some point and put the Tapu Fini directly into that slot, and the Landorus and the Incineroar protect it in kind of this similar way to how you're protecting the Gardevoir. Obviously, to get Tapu Fini acting on the same kind of power level as Gardevoir, you need to be getting at least a Calm Mind up. But other than that, it's very similar, but gives the team that nice water typing that it really needs, and it gives it another resist to kind of threats that otherwise would be very difficult to kind of go against, and it gives us a better matchup against most rain teams as well. So yeah, very basic standard set. Protect, Calm Mind, Muddy Water, Moonblast. I went for Muddy Water because even though it does miss over a game of 3 games in a set, you know, it's going to hit more times than not. There was a few times where it missed and a few times where it hit and I didn't need it to, but that's always going to be the case with Muddy Water, and I do prefer it to Scald just to spread damage. The spread, okay, we went for a bold spread because I wanted to primarily reduce the amount of damage a Metagross could go for, so pretty much turning an Iron Head into a 4-hit KO, which is absolutely phenomenal. Just makes Tapu Fini a lot harder to deal with, and makes the room that you've got to get Calm Minds up a lot better. So that was one of the things, you know, there's a 6.3 chance that it actually 2-hit KOs. Most of the other time it's going to be a 4-hit KO. I've only got a Figgy Berry on the damage calculator because there is no Wiki Berry, so it's the equivalent, isn't it? So just to make you guys aware. Other calcs. Como-O was something going into this tournament I wanted to make sure we had a really good answer against. So the attack investment there is to make sure that we get the Moonblast KO onto Como-O once it had boosted just your standard Como-O. So Moonblast is always going to be picking up the KO against it, which is nice. The other investment as well, again, a bit like how we've kind of approached things with Gardevoir, was I always wanted to make sure that I was getting the Sludge Bomb calc, so that's what that 212 health 60 special defense investment does get you there without the Calm Mind boost, so I can sit in front of a Mega Gengar and always guarantee that I take a Sludge Bomb, and it's always going to activate my berry, so I can always go for a Calm Mind boost here, and then, you know, we go Calm Mind, and then the next one's not KOing us, so that's pretty nice. So that's just a little calc there that's kind of there. So primarily it's pretty straightforward. I did want some speed in Tapu Fini. It outspeeds, I think, Adamant, Max Speed, Tyranitar, I'm pretty sure. And we also get the jump on stuff like, yeah, So Adamant max speed, Tyranitar. You also get the jump on Incineroar. I think max speed Incineroar, but that's kind of irrelevant because you're never going to see that. But I did want that extra speed in there just to make sure that we had a little bit of speed investment, and obviously getting the jump again on other Tapu Finis, other Calm Mind Tapu Finis is pretty important as well. So that was something in the back of my mind. But other than that, it was basically the special attack was there for Coma Or to make sure that Moonblast hit it. We got some key calcs. Metagross was 1. That's unintimidated as well, so the Iron Head was a 4-hit kill most of the time, like 6.3% of the time it 2-hit kills, but that was very rare. We got the Gengar Sludge Bomb. We could take that, and we had a bit of speed creep as well, so that kind of covers the Tapu Fini. It offers that nice synergy for the rest of the team. You know, Naganadel takes water type attacks alright, but it's so weak. It's still very weak. Its dragon typing does help though, it resists water type attacks and fire type attacks quite nicely. But in general, we needed Tapu Fini for the threat that we've got to this double Intimidate core, and Tapu Fini just provides a bit more coverage for that, and obviously gives us a bit of immunity to Amoonguss spores and things like that. And then coming on to the other star of the show, probably my MVP from the MSS on the Sunday, doing absolutely all the work in the world. And I will say that Mr. Kiriaki was not convinced about this Pokemon, but by the end of the weekend he could totally understand why the Breloom was in there, and for good reason. So if you take the Breloom out of the team and look at it, it does struggle a lot against, and what I was finding is I didn't have a good way to get around Sand at all. Like Sand was Japan Sand was a really hard matchup for me, and it was the T-Tar Excadrill core that was proven really difficult, because they'd have a way to they'd either have Milotic that stopped me bringing the Landorus, so I felt like I needed another way around getting around that, and I looked for ages through everything, and then I was like, oh, Breloom actually could work. And you don't need to worry about, you know, I've got the Misty Terrain, so the Spore sometimes isn't going to be useful, but like Amoonguss works because most support stuff, most setup stuff, most things that you want to be sporing are going to be floating or flying type anyway, so we can make it work. And the Bullet Seed and the Priority Mach Punch are so good. Like, let me go over. We've got a sash on it. It just gives it that bit of security, makes it harder to take down as well, and it really puts your opponent in a position where they have to attack into it, or they're going to get spored, or they're going to get bullet seeded or Mach punched. And it just really supports the team so well, and completes that fire water grass core with the Fini and the Incineroar as well, which gives nice synergy to the team on a whole. So we've got here, what have we got? A Tyranitar, yeah. So if we've got a Scarfed Tyranitar, just 4 HP, 252 attack, 252 speed, jolly, Mach punch, easy, 1-hit KO, and that's pretty huge. And I mean, Excadrill is pretty similar. We're not getting the KO, I think it's a roll, very low roll, but I mean, we're going to be 2-hit KO, and if it hasn't got Iron Head, it's not going to be doing anything back to Breloom, so that's pretty nice. The other thing is that Breloom gives us is a very good option against all of the competitive and Defiant users outside of Bravery. To be honest, so Mach punch again on a Bishop, easy 1-hit KO on the Bishop. Bishop's super threatened. Milotic again, Bullet Seed doing huge damage to it. So Bullet Seed plus Mach punch is always going to guarantee the KO. And the other thing is as well, against opposing Tapu Finis, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, Calm Mind Tapu Finis can be a bit tricksy. So if they get set up, at least we've got the Bullet Seed. And I mean, even look at that defense. That defense there, and this is 3 hits. We're only hitting it with 3 hits. If we get one more hit, well, maybe not, because we activate the berry. It all depends. But I mean, those defenses, 252, 100 defense, Calm Tapu Fini. Bullet Seed is still 68% chance to 1-hit KO. It's amazing. I know the Moonblast will KO us, but if we can get in with our Sash intact, then we easy beat the Tapu Fini. Easily, because we're always going to be outspeeding it as well with that speed stat that we've got, max speed 134. We outspeed a lot of the metagame as well. Slower, bulky Zapdoses, We can spore them before they get their tailwind off, etc. It's a really good Pokemon. Landorus does barely anything to it. Let me have a look what Landorus-Therian is doing to it. Obviously we'll ignore Fly, but I mean U-Turn's still a 2-hit kill, and that's unintimidated. So I mean if you got 1 Intimidate onto it, it's pretty nice. And the Bullet Seed on 3 hits is nearly a 2-hit kill. But yeah, you can see, and that's -1 as well. Because you've got the Technician there on the Breloom, so it's boosting those Bullet Seeds and Mach Punches as well. And even Incineroar as well. I mean, Incineroar is such a popular Pokemon. We know how popular Incineroar is. We'll go 252 on the HP there. But, I mean, you can see a -1 Mach Punch is still doing a good chunk of damage. So that paired with maybe a Hyper Voice or a Muddy Water from Tapu Fini is going to be really good, you know, knowing that you can deal with Incineroar a little bit easier. And if you can get it in unintimidated, then you know it's gonna be 2-hit KO easily. So you're not even getting near the berry with that calc. So 1-on-1 you'd be able to beat it pretty much. You should be able to. Anyway. But yeah, that's kind of the Breloom, and that's why it fit in there. And we're getting up to an hour now. Oh my god, this is really long. I said I'm gonna streamline it and things like that, but I've talked for absolutely ages on the team. But that is it pretty much in a nutshell. Some matchups. So I mentioned before about Tapu Metagross. I'd lead Landorus Naganadel to get scouting. Whether the Tapu was scarfed or not, especially game 1, it's quite handy. If I suspected Tapu Metagross, I'd lead Gardevoir Naganadel, because I was always confident in that situation. I could just go Firuim Z into the Metagross and then Hyper Voice or Trick Room with my Gardevoir, and then the next turn I'm sitting in such a good position. I'm just trying to think of other situations against the Mega Gengar teams. I'd always tend to lead off with Incineroar Landorus, because if I get trapped in, I've got 2 Pokemon I can U-turn out and adjust board positions with, especially if you see the Komodo switch in turn 1. Other than that, like hard Trick Room teams, Breloom is so good against them because it can just spore, shut them down, put on a lot of pressure. Celesteela as well struggles a lot. I played Yuri against this team, and the Breloom just put in so much work that game. Celesteela woke up the first turn, every turn I put it to sleep, but those turns I put it to sleep were so big and giving me room to kind of manipulate the board and get my Intimidator in and out, protect the Gardevoir, and then just end up kind of slowly wearing it down to the point where I could kind of win the game. So Breloom big in those matches, even though I have got the Misty Terrain. But all in all, absolutely love the team. As I say, guys, I have put the Pastebin down below in the link below. It'll be a QR code team as well that you can go and try out if you'd like. If you do, let me know what you think about it. If you've got any questions about the team, do let me know and I will get back to you on it. I hope you've enjoyed this team report. As I say, it's a bit on the cuff. I haven't done one for a long time, so I hope it's been enjoyable. I hope you have enjoyed it. It's a bit of a long one as well, isn't it? But yeah, a bit of a bonus, and thank you for the interest that I've had in you wanting to hear about it, because it does mean a lot, and I am proud of this team. Even though I didn't perform as well as I wanted to do with it, I do really like it, and it's probably one of the better teams that I've built this year, and I do really like it. So if you do try it, I hope you like it as well. My good friend Francesco Pardini has been playing it on his YouTube channel, so I'll link that down in the description below. He's been having a lot of fun with it recently, so go over and check out some of his videos, and I'll just say thanks for him throwing a lot of you guys over here as well, so it's great to have you. But that will be about it, guys. As I say, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, let me know. But that is the team all in all. I feel like I probably missed a load of things out, but I will just say a big shout out to Ben, who did give me a lot of help polishing up the final bits of the team once I put it together, and helped me get the last bits of practice I needed with it. Go ahead, try it out, have fun, and just love Naganadel, because it is great. It is a great Pokemon. But until next time, guys, I will see you all later. So we'll be back soon with another team report, I'm sure, in the near future. But as I say, any questions, let me know. But if not, go away, have a great evening, morning, afternoon, night, whatever time of day it is. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you all later. So until then, bye-bye!